Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sports Line. This is our live studio show. Sort of surprised me tonight, but that's okay. Thanks for watching us on Verizon 32 everywhere in the Pittsburgh area. That includes downtown Pittsburgh and out in the suburbs. And only Comcast 7 in Bethel Park. Thanks for watching us. We hit a new high, Zach Brenner, of 3,658.
All time?
No, because we had that yesterday also. I didn't see the latest update, so maybe we... No, I think we might have hit one more.
I was way in the back. I had a hard time
Coming
hearing.
down with a cold.
Yeah, I'm getting a little hoarse running around with this weather and talking like we did. We had a lot of conversations, so be safe, be warm, have some more green tea. But if not, drink plenty of water. That's our little health tip. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Chip the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier, and Zach Brenner there. And we're going to do our first segment, which is What's on Our Mind. Zach Brenner, what's on your mind?
Well, Al Levine, the talking machine. Sometimes I have to cover up my notes because, like in class, Smoking Jim Frazier's always looking over the person next to him's shoulders to pass an exam. But on this test tonight, folks, he's going to fail.
Here, use the towel. Flag on the play.
Flag
Put the
on
towel.
play. But I did this for my healing buddy Chip tonight. But what's on my mind tonight, folks, is the University of Pittsburgh. Because when you grow up in the city all your life and you do a little bit better than Cal U, you aspire to go to the University of Pitt and to the Mecca that is Oakland. And what's on my mind tonight, folks, is that mediocre football team is bowl eligible. But that mediocre football team is my mediocre football team. And I still love those lovable losers because some of the best players on the team are local products. And that's what makes it great that, you know, some of these local kids are actually playing in a Division I school. And no, Chip, they might not be selling out Heinz Field, but, you know, sometimes the Steelers don't even sell out Heinz Field, and they're a professional football team with Steeler Nation, so you can't always get what you
The
wish
Steelers
for.
have sold out all their home games since 1972. Thank you.
Well, I
And they
see a lot of
continue
empty
to.
seats, and I know you do too, Livy. I know you see a lot of yellows sometimes, don't
Yeah, but the
don't
tickets
you
are
lie?
already paid for.
Hold it, I got late breaking news. A new world record. 3,661. Devin Shea in the control room. Thank you for the last three that come in the last few hours. Appreciate it. Sorry to interrupt you, too, while you're having a little discussion there. But
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
still
I like
on
it.
what's on my mind.
Oh. I
I'm
thought it
still
was
on the
on
same
Chip's
thing.
mind, too.
I'm still on the
No,
same
okay.
thing.
Okay.
I haven't changed yet. I'm still on the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And that mediocrity that takes place in Oakland. I want Paul Chryst to resign effective immediately. I'll let you finish the bowl game. I'm also
How can you
calling.
ask immediately
I'm
then?
also calling. I'm also because there's been times where they let them finish, but they know it's over. They're a lame duck.
Oh.
But it's in this meaningless bowl game in Detroit that Pitt's probably going to play in, Chip, just out of sure notoriety. I'm pushing for Penn State Nittany Lions, who are also mediocre at best, to play Pitt once and for all. Why wait till 2016? Let's settle this right now. We could have a little backyard brawl and play in one of these, you know, crappy bowl games. I know you're all for it, Levine. Come on. You're a Penn State guy.
I like both teams. I like football.
But the last thing that's on my mind is I take Smoking Jim Frazier to task. I say the Steelers are better than 8-8. They're going to finish 10-6. We're going to make the playoffs, and after that, I don't know. You know, you can never tell with a Mike Tomlin coach team, how deep you might go or how deep you might not go in the playoffs. But that's what's on my mind tonight, folks. The University of Pitt is bowl eligible. Tiger Woods is back and healing up. And so is Chip. And that's what's on my mind.
No, I just got a scouting report on Chip. I wasn't in the room. We're not going to fill out an accident report right now. But he come out of major surgery. He's still alive and well, and the best news is his arm is still attached.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And one thing, my colleague at the end there, as our guys like to say here, you had a great statement yesterday that the Steelers are going to be 10-6 and they're going to stay in the mix.
I like that.
And you didn't use it, so I'll steal it.
All right. You could steal it.
Plagiarized.
Exactly. Well, they call that curating now.
Okay.
You steal something to make
Right.
it your own.
Good.
And enough of the education. Look that up in your dictionary, and we'll be fine.
Look
We're
that
gonna-
up in your Funkin' Wagnalls.
People didn't know what it was. They thought I was swearing at them. The young kid over there was getting mad
you
at
figure
me.
since the inception of the internet, a lot of a lot of people don't even read Smoking Jim Frazier, so it's hard to let alone get a dictionary.
Here, number 2, second book. We'll get into that in a minute. Just rest comfortably. Chip, say that on.
Just get passed around. So the real debate's going to be who, between me and Smoking Jim Frazier, is going to eventually read one of these books. I'm leaning towards Jim.
Neither one.
He might be snowed in with a snow bunny one of
For
these
people
cold
that
nights
don't- for
while I'm
people-
out there shoveling the walk.
Let me tell you what the bottom line is. After Chip reads it, that'll be the last Pittsburgh Sportsline co-host to read the book. And Smoking Jim, what could be on your mind?
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you got to see Levine. Good catch. What's on my mind is, in 2011, the Pittsburgh Steelers were 12-4. Big Ben passed for over 4,000 yards and broke all kind of records. And they fired Bruce Arians. And since then, the Pittsburgh Steelers have been 23-21 with 0 playoff experiences. And when I look down the road a little bit with the Pittsburgh Steelers, Lil Z may be on to something, because the only team that I know that is a mismatch for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now is the Atlanta Falcons. Any team that can go throw the ball deep down the field will hurt the Steelers. So Lil Z may be on to something. I doubt it. But but the problem that I see with the black and gold is that poor drafts and poor draft strategy equals lack of talent. And you look at, there's nobody on the team currently from the 2008, 2009 seasons. And you guys can look that up. That may be an NFL record for not one player, not even a walk-on, to be still there. And then you look at the poor draft strategies that they've had, the arrogance that's in that war room. Landry Jones, a 4th-round pick for a quarterback, when you got a quarterback that's not even reached his prime yet in Big Ben. So 4th-round pick, you're looking at former players like Aaron Smith was a 4th-round pick, Ike Taylor, Martavius Bryant. And then you go and they go get an outstanding safety, Shamarko Thomas. They move up in the 4th round and give away a future 3rd-round pick for a guy that's going to be a career backup to Troy Polamalu. Too short to play free safety. He's built like a strong safety. And in the 3rd round, you're looking at guys in the past, like Coach Bill Cowher used to get guys like Joey Porter and Hines Ward in the 3rd round. Sometimes they even miss with guys like Mike Vrabel for the little reverse discrimination. Here's a guy that's going to be in the Hall of Fame, but I don't think he was just the right color here in Pittsburgh to play outside linebacker. So he went to New England to star, because he was a star at Ohio State. I thought he was a great, great player. Should have went in the 1st or 2nd round. End up going in the 3rd round, and maybe one of the greatest all-around defensive players to ever play the game. And Mike Wallace was a 3rd-round pick. Keenan Lewis, Emmanuel Sanders. And then finally, this past year, looks like the Pittsburgh Steelers need cornerbacks. Everybody says you got to get a cornerback. But in the 3rd round, we look at Le'Veon Bell, and we already had his backup in place, LeGarrette Blount, but we just had to draft Dry Archer in the 3rd round. And you know the guys that we could have gotten with a 3rd-round pick, especially a cornerback. So that's what's on my mind.
Thanks, Smoking Jim. One of your most informative what's on your mind for
I
2014.
was thinking some of that too on the drive over here in traffic.
All right, we're going to go to Chip the Prophet Hayner. What's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. Jim, just a couple of things I want to take you to task on regarding the Steelers before I get to what's on my mind. I want you to go through the whole entire NFL, and I bet you find a very small percentage of players on anybody's team from the 2008 and 2009 draft. The average NFL career is less than 4 years, or is it even less than 3 years now? So it's no big surprise that somebody that was drafted 6 years ago is well into their retirement.
He didn't know that. He actually didn't know that.
Okay,
Education.
so you asked me what's on my mind, and once again, I'm going to be calling for somebody to just go ahead and quit their job. But of course, he's getting paid $45 million, so we know that's not going to happen. But Roger Goodell got made to look more foolish than he already is by an arbitrator who ruled that Ray Rice did not deceive Roger Goodell in the NFL. And so, the NFL took it on the chin a couple of times because for the first time, Roger Goodell actually had to testify in front of the arbitrator, which he's always been able to tap dance away from. Well, that got shot full of holes, and when the truth came out, the truth was that Roger Goodell had no authority or justification to suspend Ray Rice for the whole season when he should have done it in the first place. He decided to slap him on the wrist with a 2-game suspension, and then when it ended up hitting the fan and all over him, then of course he tried to backtrack. But he's the perfect puppet now for the NFL owners. I think now that they've got him reined in, I don't think there's a chance we're ever going to see him leave, but I really wish he would quit, go away. I think he's ruined the image of the NFL publicly, but now the arrogance with which he walked around and carried himself seems to have the swagger has gotten out of his step, so to speak. He's been humbled and humiliated, and we don't see him being interviewed on television anymore because it's no longer him dictating to the reporters the direction of the interview. He's backtracking. He's trying to cover his steps, and he's trying to make himself look less foolish than he already is. But, the NFL owners, do yourselves a favor. Get rid of your lackey. Hire somebody that will bring some integrity and respect back to the commissioner's position in the NFL. It's the most popular sport on the planet, maybe with the exception of soccer. But, as far as we're concerned, it's going to be number one. And you need to do something to repair the image that he's done a pretty good job of tarnishing. That's what's on my mind.
Well, Chip, we have similar things on our mind. I only have a little different take, but we'll get into that in a minute. First, I got to congratulate a Pitt graduate, Dr. Drew. Graduated from Pitt, and one of his buddies contacted me on Facebook, who we met at the Brew and Chew in Monroeville earlier in the year. So they did reach out to me. They watch our show all the time. They like all of us. I don't know how that worked out, but they do. So shout out Dr. Drew. Congratulations. Hope you enjoy the rest of the show. Well, first I want to thank Al Oliver. He did call in last week. And we got the expert, John the Tiger Kiger, who may have a second here. Okay. Here's his book. Sorry about that. He usually gets a lot of me, but there we go. Life is a hit, don't strike out. It's the Al Oliver story. And I sat with him on Saturday between about 4:45 and a little after 6. It was just great meeting him and his daughter Felicia. And Diane Daniels, thanks for setting it up where he called in. Appreciate it. There should be some more photos coming with me and Al. And everybody knows I'm positive. He put in there, he's Mr. Positive. Be positive. So very nice. Chip's going to read the book now. I did finish it. It's a great book. The other two guys that we talked earlier, they're not going to check it out. They want to look at pictures, so there's a bunch in there. And he truly should be in the Hall of Fame. What's on my mind is 3 letters, CBA. I get a lot of ridicule about it, and double, triple jeopardy. This is America, the law. Well, it seems like if you have a CBA, then you can't change the fines and everything else, and you have to go by what you have in there, even if you're a dictator. So that's what happened. Do I agree with domestic violence and these guys coming back? No. But when you have great lawyers, what if that glove doesn't fit? You can't convict.
You can't. You must acquit.
Right.
Isn't that how?
Something like that. So that's part of the history here. And Goodell, he's following the game plan that I found with the owners. I didn't hear a peep out of any owner. Not yet. Nobody's saying that he should be gone. And to me, it's shocking because I have to agree with Chip here that it's ridiculous. There's no integrity, but he's doing what they want. He's a true lackey. He's a great front man for a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Oh, little slip with the lip.
Oh, that's all right. Whatever that may be, but front, my friend, front.
Okay.
Okay, your hearing's a little bad being out in that cold weather there. But yeah, he should be gone, but will he be gone? No. And he's going to have bigger committees, and he's already put women in charge of some of these committees, and you don't hear a peep out of him. When he does testify, look, they got to go by the CBA. And that's what's on my mind.
Good job. Good
The
job.
CBA.
Yes. All right, we're going to go to our segments now. Everybody knows Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Hey, thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine, and congratulations. It looked like the Big Mouth Burger was a big hit last night.
I
It was.
didn't even bring it out. I didn't want to test the tiger, but yeah. Come on, Tiger. We need another close-up here. Not of me.
You gotta be on the balls of your feet there, bro.
He is. Yeah. There it is. Get those ingredients there.
For those people that can't see, why don't you just tell them what's on the burger?
I forget because you guys wouldn't eat it. You made your own.
Everything except the kitchen sink.
Well, of course, there's a burger. Melted pepper jack,
Provolone, tomato, guac, marinara, jalapenos, sauteed mushrooms, and crisp bacon.
I want to try that.
All you need is an egg on that. We'd be right where we need
I
to be.
wanted to, but I was trying to stay a little healthier.
I might want to
Thanks
try
for that shout out. You might, but those wings look delicious
Oh,
last
the
night.
wings was good. Wings, you can't go wrong.
And there was no meat on the bone there, I noticed.
No.
No, Jim
put your hands
Jim got
in
to the
there.
marrow that was in the bone.
He was chomping on a couple crisp things. I thought they were fries.
And the fries was good too.
They were.
And Laura was great.
Anything else with your fiction and fact? We covered the facts.
Here we go.
What about the fiction?
Here we go. Hey, the 40th annual Willie Stargell MVP banquet is coming up on December 13th, and Willie Stargell MVP banquet is the second largest banquet in the state of Pennsylvania, next to the Dapper Dan banquet. And over the years, the Willie Stargell banquet has had a lot of great guests. Willie Stargell, of course, Muhammad Ali, Dr. J. I don't think Larry Bird was invited, but one of the most arrogant guests we ever had there was Marcus Allen. I won't have him back. And that was during my years, but
I
where
think
the
Larry
fix-
Bird would have been nicer.
Yeah, Larry Bird would have been great from French Lick, Indiana. But my good friend a few years back, Armin the Hammer Gilliam, he used to play for the Philadelphia 76ers. He brought in one of his former teammates, and the guy was by the name of Charles Barkley. And I tell you what, Charles Barkley was the greatest celebrity guest that ever been around. His nickname was the Round Mound of Rebound, and he's written close to 6 books. One of the books that he was promoting when he was there at the MVP banquet was Who's Afraid of a Large Black Man? But I tell you what, this guy with no notes stood up and talked for 45 minutes. I tell you what, Al Levine, the talking machine, he took pictures with all the beautiful models, everybody in attendance. He'd probably still be there, but his bodyguards kind of dragged him out of the room. But there's nothing pretentious. That's a word I learned from Tom Donahoe, my friend Tom. But before he got fired, I got that.
Good thing he gave you that.
Word. Yeah, he gave me that word. And, but Charles Barkley, just a great guy who was a celebrity. If anybody get a chance to meet Charles Barkley, I know he's in Vegas a lot. He's a gambler. But if you ever get a chance to meet him, go up and shake his hand and get an autograph. He'll be happy to do it. If not, he'll throw you through a plate glass window. And that's what's on my mind.
I thought that was if you were under 5'5".
Oh, man.
Smoking Jim.
That was a very informative fiction and fact.
Yeah.
I'm leaning more towards fiction than fact.
No, I'm leaning towards more
I'm
facts.
telling you what, December 13th taking on a whole new meaning, man. Every week the name changes. I just can't get my bearings.
I'm trying to take notes on this.
I think Smoking Jim's trying to just stay
I
one foot out from the
I
curve.
can't even make a comment.
Firing
Thanks,
all of
Smoking
them.
Jim.
And he may have a giveaway for us for the 13th.
Which I cannot even understand. And that's a shout out to Jim Ajay.
We'll see you on Saturday, buddy.
We'll get
wait.
into that
Yes,
stuff
sir.
later. Let's get the.
Trivia.
Thank you. I forgot for a second. Chips trivia time.
All right, thank you, Alan. I've got some trivia that's kind of from all over the place tonight. You know,
Okay.
a little bit of boxing trivia,
Little this,
a
little that.
little bit of this, a little bit of that. Some athletes whose names you would recognize, maybe even some events. Once I describe them, you'll recall watching them probably. In Zach's case, from the highlights, but for Jim and Al and I, we probably watched the events live. But Zach was a little young at that time. The first one on November 30th, 1956. Floyd Patterson knocks out Archie Moore in the 5th round to win the world heavyweight title in Chicago.
56.
1956. Floyd Patterson.
I was 5 months old. I remember it like it was yesterday.
1979 on November 30th. Sugar Ray Leonard wins the WBC welterweight title with a 15-round knockout of Wilfred Benitez in Las Vegas.
Wow.
So there you go. So there's my boxing trivia for you
Nice.
guys. Okay, November 30th, 1987. Bo Jackson. Remember, Bo knows, right? Bo Jackson, also an outfielder for the Kansas City Royals, and I think you'll remember this game when I described it, rushed for 221 yards to lead the Los Angeles Raiders to a 37-14 rout of the Seattle Seahawks. He scored on a 90-yard touchdown run, and he didn't stop running. He ran right out the stadium,
Yeah.
through the end zone,
It's a
out
classic.
the back of the,
And ran
the
over,
stadium.
ran
Yep.
over Bosworth.
So
earlier in
that
the
happened
game.
on November 30th, 1987.
Wow.
1991, as a future Hall of Famer, San Diego State's Marshall Falk
Wow.
becomes the first freshman to capture the national rushing and scoring titles after gaining 154 yards on 27 carries in a 39-12 loss to top-ranked Miami. Falk finished the season with 1,429 yards in 9 games for 158.7-yard rushing average.
Wow.
And he also did the same thing when he made it to the pros.
Yes, he did.
And that's just about it for the one other oddity happened. The Oakland Raiders, back in 2008 on November 30th, completed a football game, completing one pass that was officially for 0 yards. It was by Ronald Curry on a hook and lateral play.
Really?
So the ineptitude of the Raiders is...
It's traditional now.
We're going into a second decade of it, and the Raiders have, Al Davis's franchise is circling the bowl. But that's what I got for trivia for you tonight.
Thanks, Chip. Appreciate it.
Floyd Patterson, 1956. That's good stuff.
How old were you in 56, Smoking Jim?
56, I was
17.
I was about 30 years before I was born, bro.
You know what? It's getting so much fiction here. Let's go to Z time where we're going to hear only factual points.
Well, gentlemen, since we didn't touch on this, who here on this panel believes that Ray Rice deserves another chance in the National Football League? Because we talked about obviously his suspension was overturned. All right, you don't have to raise your hand, Smoking Jim.
Oh, I thought you wanted.
I'll raise mine.
You know what? I believe this, Zach. Regardless of what I feel personally, I do believe that he is going to get another chance in the NFL. I think the only problem that we got going on now is that because of the public uproar over it, people are going to be hesitant to sign him until he gets his attorney to start talking about collusion. Because if nobody makes him an offer, then they're going to say that the owners colluded to keep him out of the NFL, and they're going to.
They
The
couldn't
court
keep
of
Michael
public
Vick.
opinion will be
They
strong.
couldn't keep Michael Vick out of the league.
Well,
Come
he
on.
served time.
And he served time.
He went to
Ray
federal
Rice didn't
prison.
even go to jail. But I'm just saying, I believe in second chances, but
I'm going to make an exception.
the
I'm gonna
tape never lies.
I'm going to stay with what I said.
He's gonna
Permanent
bail.
ban.
No, and
I would have permanently banned him and all these other guys because that's how you stop it. No tolerance.
zero tolerance, and I
then
agree with that one
that's
on
what
that.
happened.
But he had no prior history.
He was actually a great guy,
Don't
but
matter.
we don't know what happened.
you just
Don't
have
matter.
one
You
bad
have to have a
night.
set of rules set chiseled in stone, and there's no deviation from it.
Glad we got
and
a
they
union.
apply to everybody
What's
the
that?
same way.
I'm glad we got
Glad
a
we got a CBA.
Glad we got a union. Yeah.
Now that's what my point was. See,
Yeah, but you want to know something?
finally.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
The NFL Football Players Union is the. If I was a player, I'd be really upset
See what
because
you started?
you look at a baseball player. The guy signs a guaranteed contract for 10 years. He plays 2 years. He doesn't play the next 8, and he gets paid.
Yeah.
In the NFL,
like
what
it.
happens? They sign a $60 million contract. They get 2. They get cut,
They
and
get
they don't
no
have to
mo-
pay
no
nothing.
more
So their
money,
union
yeah.
didn't do them really well.
And I'll give you back a point of reference. The unions that control the majority, not the minority, and the star players will get just
So
about
do you
whatever
think
they want.
Ray Rice is going to play against Smoking Jim?
Well, Al just said he's a minority.
Zach, you know what? I don't believe we're going to see him this year. I
No.
believe he'll
He
play.
is.
It's
believe
rumored that the Indianapolis Colts are going to.
No, they said no.
Oh, they said no?
They got a black coach, so maybe.
That
Chuck
was why
Pagano is
they.
black?
That was why.
No, I'm thinking. Who's the black coach now?
He's in Detroit.
Detroit. That's it.
Caldwell.
Yeah.
Caldwell.
You know what?
Jim
He's getting some
Caldwell.
bad information. And I think his eyes are going bad.
Holy smokes.
I'm getting
I think it's time
I'm
to
getting
go.
my blues.
Yeah,
mixed
well,
up.
you know, you need to get a color TV.
That black and white's not doing you justice there, even if it's
You're
80
watching
inches.
too much To Kill a Mockingbird.
I like that movie.
Guess who's coming?
All right, let's get back.
Yeah,
to
Let's
Z
get back
time.
to Z
Let's
time.
get
So
back
we
to
touched
Zach
on
Z
Ray
time.
Rice.
I interrupted him. I'm
The
sorry.
overwhelming majority of this
He ran
panel
wild.
believes that Ray Rice does not deserve to return back to the league. Me personally, I always like how they play on the field, so I think he should be back in the league. He's a football player. He's a human being. Human beings make mistakes all through the history of time, Levine, as you can attest to. Humans have made mistakes. You find me a perfect human being. I don't know what the Tiger Cocker's doing back there, but that's neither here nor there. The last thing
I
on
don't know how that come up. That's
last
our
thing-
cameraman. Don't worry about
the
it.
last
Focus.
thing on Z Time is I want to give a shout out to 3 phenomenal Pitt Panthers. We can't let the fact that the recruiting and a whole bunch of stuff has let these guys down. But number 24 James Conner, number 23 Tyler Boyd from where Smoking Jim? Clareton, the city of prayer. And TJ Clemens, they were all named first team All ACC. So I want to give a shout out to those 3 Pitt Panthers on tonight's show. And I'm still, like I said, regardless of Chip and the numbers about how many bowl games and all this stuff, I'm still pushing for the Nittany Lions to play the Pitt Panthers. Let's settle this. Don't be a bunch of pansies up there in Happy Valley. We know you guys have the most, in Allegheny County, Penn State alumni have the most per capita volume in Allegheny County of all of the state. We got the most Penn State people right here in our backyard, and I
in
don't,
the United
and I don't like
States.
it, and I don't like
Really?
it one bit.
There's
Well,
a
you know
little nugget, like Chip likes to say. They have one of the largest alumni association in the USA.
Wow.
The largest.
But
Hold that for a second. Go ahead.
Zach, and I want to go on the record as saying that I am a fan of the University of Pitt. Okay, I've always been a supporter of their football teams and their basketball teams. They've become a butt of a running joke because of their collapses that seem to happen every year. But
And each
talking
week.
about Penn State and Pitt, when you're comparing the two, Pitt's been what 6-7, 7-6. They're 6-6 this year. Well, Penn State, not only did the program almost get blown up and they lost scholarships, they lost, they had the most severe sanctions of anybody in the
For
the
what though?
NCAA
For what
history.
though? Because they
Right.
put the football
No.
programs over.
So they were 7-5, 8-4, and 7-5 this year. Geez, without anybody to recruit and not a chance of going to a bowl game, they do a pretty
And,
good
and,
job.
and, people,
got it.
and people still show up to their games like 110,000. But my question is for L. Levine, the talking machine, or anybody can jump in on this, is why in the world, you guys are old enough to remember, I even remember, Losey, you probably might even remember.
What year are we going back
the
to?
Thanksgiving weekend, that's what you waited for, the Pitt-Penn State game. That was, to
I
me,
went to them.
that was to me one of the
Biggest
biggest
games
rival.
of the
That was
year.
one of the biggest rivalries in the country to me. I didn't know nothing about Alabama, Auburn, and all that because Penn State was the biggest rivalry. Why don't the governor come in and step in and make them play? They can
it's
do that.
happening in
It does that in
2016.
other.
Okay, and to
No,
answer-
but that's
to-
not just one year,
to
right?
answer their
I
question.
mean,
Yeah,
every
that's
year.
gonna happen.
Because
Serious.
here's what
Yeah.
here's the reason why
2016.
they're not playing now. It was because of Joe Paterno, and the
No,
governor
he's not the
doesn't.
governor.
governor doesn't have enough power to override Joe
Yeah,
Paterno
true.
in the state of Pennsylvania. And and Joe Paterno was really upset with Pitt, especially with coaches like Jackie Sherrill, who had a tendency to bend the rules quite a little bit. And
Well, if anybody knows about bending rules, they certainly do a good job of it in Happy Valley. Keep that stuff over there.
Well, Joe Paterno had a different attitude, and to be honest with you, when he dropped the series back in the '80s, Pitt needed Penn State. Penn State didn't need Pitt, and he did have the foresight to see that being in a major conference was going to bode well for him.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference would have been great. And Joe made Pitt a good offer, 2 for 1. 2 games at Penn State, 1 game at Pitt.
Yeah,
that ain't bad.
yeah.
That wasn't bad.
From nothing. You guys would be happy. You have nothing here. Now you can come play once. You'd be like, oh, okay. Because you have something now. That's the logic you put out on here. At least you got something.
I heard something really funny on the radio today while I was, while I was working, and
On
I
Whammo?
heard them say, "Yeah, on Whammo, yeah, we are moving on, brother."
I totally see you listening to
No,
the
but
morning
you know,
show.
here's the thing that I thought was kind of amusing. They're talking about potential bowl games that Pitt might get invited to. And there was the Pinstripe Bowl, which is in New York City,
Yeah.
and they said, "Well, the one in Detroit would be better for Pitt fans because that's only a 5-hour drive." And I'm like, "What do you mean they can't even get people to drive from Oakland to Northside?" Wait, you're telling me now they're going to drive to Detroit?
If we played Penn State, I might drive to I might go to New York or
Nah.
Detroit.
And here's how it is. Penn State fans that travel, a lot of them already live in those cities or in
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah.
It's sort of like the Steelers, the myth of everybody traveling. How many people do you know will travel from here to California to watch a Steeler game?
They're already out there.
Okay. Well, they keep saying it
You're
on
right.
TV,
You're
so
right.
I'm sort of
Good
happy
point.
about it. And this is like the extended version of Z Time.
Yeah.
So
But Zach, so there's nobody that will cheer louder than me when Pitt starts winning on a
And
regular basis.
how is
again.
that? And do you feel that that's going to happen under Coach Christ? Because I don't have the confidence that it's going to happen under Coach
Well,
Christ.
yeah, you know what? Here's what I think, and and in all fairness to the coach, we always talk about fire this, fire that, fire and if you look at what the Cleveland Browns have done in the last 16 years, they probably had 12 different head coaches. And they have no continuity. They
got Johnny
just
Manziel
stink.
now.
They stink. But
the insanity
the
of it all.
fourth year is the telling year for Paul Christ. Now they only lost 11 seniors off this team. This team is graduating this year, so they've got a team of predominantly people that he recruited, and they do have a really nice offense with Connor, Tyler Boyd. Boytek has been doing better. But you got to take into account it's his first year as a starting quarterback. It's Division I. I would expect him to be a better quarterback next year. I would expect a lot different results next year. And if he ends up 6-6 at the end of next year, he's got to go.
he won't be in the mix if he's 6-6.
My feelings on it are
Got that
you
written
had
down.
enough time. You have the facilities down the south side. You play at Heinz Field. You have, you don't have the greatest resources of probably the top 25 teams in the nation, but you're right there on the cusp, on the bubble, and you just can't get over the hump for some reason. I think it's going to take somebody, like Dave Wannstedt, who might not have had like the greatest discipline, Narian, you know, but he sure knew how to recruit, and he sure knew how to get some players from southwestern Pennsylvania to stick around and stay home
The
and play
problem
here.
with that is Steve Peterson, and as long as he stays here,
Well, then Peterson's got to go.
Why did he
Chris
leave
got to go.
Nebraska
Maybe-
so
didn't I
quickly?
mention that last week? I think I agree with you, Zach. I think the Pitt athletic program needs,
And then-
needs
yeah.
somebody with some fire.
Well, let's
in their
not
belly,
stop.
and they need a new direction.
Let's not stop there because listen, this is what it's going to come down to now for Pitt. Pitt is at like a unique crossroads now with Jamie Dixon and Coach Chris. You are mediocre on the bubble in so many aspects and in so many ways. How much time do you get to get over the hump? I mean, Jamie Dixon's had a long time, and it doesn't seem in the last
He
like 2 or
doesn't
3
have
years
to.
he's on the downward bubble.
It doesn't matter.
Chris hasn't even got off the ground.
Jamie Dixon's going to win you 20 games every
It doesn't matter. They love that.
Well, the black football coach only got a week yet.
I
Because
was
he was
just
beating
thinking that
people
too.
up, and they were women, his wife or whatever, and they had children
Hindsight's
together.
It was a
hindsight's 2020.
misunderstanding.
He's
year.
beating women
You wanna know
already
something,
before.
Zach? And I think Pitt going shopping for a head coach right now would not be such a wise move, and simply because you look at the major
Harbaugh's
universities
out there.
that are looking for head coaches right now. You've got Florida, you've got Nebraska, you've got Michigan. These are all plum jobs that the best coaches
that are gonna
go there,
but
as opposed
not-
to coming here.
That might not be the case though, because in some of these schools, it's the prestige, of it's going to be one of their guys in most cases. Though it's not going to be a Pitt guy that's going to go be the head coach of the University of Florida.
Well, Michigan hired Jim's friend Rich Rodriguez, and he was not
How
a
did that
Michigan
work?
guy, and he got
How
shown
did that
he
work?
got shown the exit. Okay,
And
he
they
was
learned
he
from
was
that.
dismissed. They brought in a Michigan guy. They just fired him today. He had 4 years.
He had a winning record, but that's about
and
it.
let's give a shout out to Rich Rodriguez, who's playing for the Pac-10,
Pac-12.
Pac-12 title,
With the University of Arizona.
going against Oregon, and he's beaten Oregon back-to-back years. So,
And he won Coach of the Year in the
thanks to
Pac-12.
my good friend, my buddy, defensive coordinator,
There you go.
Jeff
Yeah.
Castile.
And let's not
insane.
forget about speed. He's out there. He's out there lurking in Arizona.
Yeah, he got spanked by
Arizona
Rich
State.
Rod on Saturday.
Yeah, but he did a great job.
He got
High
spanked.
octane.
high octane.
Todd Graham's a good coach. He's just a snake. He's a snake in the grass. That's all there
You
is to it.
can't say that.
I just did.
Check the tape. We're going to end the Z time right
It
now.
was good.
You got the extended version of Z time.
All fact.
I don't know about that. It's sort of opinion there. I'm looking for some of those facts. I heard a lot of opinions. We still have to get the dictionary out on the fiction part.
What's
so.
the dictionary called?
Funk and
Funk
Wagnalls.
and Wagnalls.
That would sounded like what Blunt and Bell used to be.
No. No. We got to get a book for him. Don't let him read that Al Oliver book. It's too positive. He'll want to read another book. Definitely.
The third eye.
So what do you got on the list, Levine?
Well, we're not going to go to the list, Jeff. We still have our Pittsburgh Sports Line on Location segment.
Whew.
We're just at Atria's at PNC Park. Had a great show there. I don't know if I should even mention all these guests. We had Donna Baxter, Patrick Duff, Robert Joseph, Viviana Alteri, Dan Bogan, Dave Click, Trapper Tom, and the Honey Badger. Wow. And there was a special announcement. I'm honored that Robert Joseph and Gladiators of the Cage, they had a main event. And Dom, the Honey Badger, Mizata, is now going to fight for a title belt. And that was announced on our show last night, so congratulations to him. He just happened to be there supporting the show and didn't know. So it was quite the surprise. When we get the video, you'll have to see that. Just another great interview there. And it was just a great venue there. First time they've done anything like sports talk like that. And Zach Brenner gave up his Z time because he was out there hustling, giving away some holiday cheer, a Moen white, or no, what is it? Chrome new kitchen faucet.
Man,
Worth about $100, and lo and behold, Trapper Tom come in and scooped it up at the last second there. So it was quite an exciting show. The food's great. You have to check out. You can build your own burger. Zach Brenner did, and a few other people. A lot of them, since Atrius was kind enough to name a burger after me, as we mentioned earlier. Mario Tempest was the first one to eat it before I got there. He gets there about an hour before we even get there, or I get there, not the other two. But that's always out there. And we'll be back there in January. We're looking at working something out first and third week there. Next week, we're at Duke's Rib House and Grill. Check us out, 1910 Cochran Road, 15220, Mount Lebanon there. So,
Hey, not to interrupt, but the college football playoff rankings just came out, and Alabama's in number 1, Oregon's number 2, TCU's at 3, and Florida State is number 4. And out of those 4 teams, Florida State is the only undefeated team.
Who's number 2?
Number
Alabama,
2 is
Oregon,
TCU,
and then Florida State.
And then the 2 on the outside looking in are the Buckeyes at number 5 and Baylor at 6.
well, it makes it more exciting.
It definitely makes it more exciting.
Definitely. Well, here we have some things since we're talking. We have a segment I put in there as a last minute bowling in the NCAA. Let's do some bowl talk here.
Let's do it. I want Pitt and Penn State. As stated 4
there's the
times through the
fiction.
show.
It's not going to happen.
Well, in my opinion, the best team in the country clearly is Florida State. They got the defending they got the current reigning Heisman Trophy candidate,
Winner.
one of the
Crab Leg still.
one of the all-time great college quarterbacks. This guy is 6'5". He got a cannon for an arm. He
3 or 4
understands
picks last week.
the offense, and they find a way to win. They haven't lost in 2 years. They got a pretty good coach in Jimbo Fisher, and I think it's a travesty that.
You've been reading the dictionary.
Yeah, I've been getting my words together. But I mean, how in the world can you be undefeated 2 seasons in a row? You got the best player in the country, and they're going to make them travel, because if they're not in the top 2, then they have to travel to the West Coast and play in some site. And that's not fair for the Southern fans that will come out to see them play. But
Their fans travel.
yeah,
You feel
and I
sorry
think that
for the Seminoles?
and I think the SEC, is very overrated this year. And like I said, Ole Miss and Mississippi State are average teams, and they're starting to show it. And I'm happy for TCU, but they got beat by, is it Baylor?
Yeah, they got beat by Baylor.
Baylor got beat by West Virginia.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of have a little bit of a problem. I feel like Ohio State should probably be just a little bit more in the mix,
Yeah,
even
and
though their starting quarterback just bowed out for the season.
Their original starting quarterback, who was a Heisman Trophy candidate, didn't make it into the season, and then their next quarterback, which was a pleasant surprise for them, he went down. But you know what? They found a way to win this past
They're still
weekend.
trying to find the next Terrell Pryor out there.
Well, the problem with
Just gotta go to a tattoo shop.
And in which NFL roster is he on?
He's blacklisted.
Oh,
He's on the blacklist on NBC with James Spader.
But Alabama's very, very good, but they're not the great Alabama team that they've always been. They got 1 loss. How can they be number 1?
Politics.
What BS?
There's politics with it.
BCS.
Just
I
like
don't-
the BCS was.
Listen, I mean, the SEC is a little bit stronger than, the ACC Coastal Conference. So, I mean, Alabama is playing a lot, stiffer competition than Florida State. And look at some of the teams Florida State's been playing. Last week, Winston throws, 4 interceptions? And they almost blow that. So, right now they're getting by on the skin of their teeth. I love the new playoff format. I think it's made it more exciting, more interesting. So we're going to settle this thing for the first time in a long time, where you have 4 teams, the 4 supposedly best teams in the country. One's going to play 4, 2's going to play 3, and we're going to, hash this
and
thing out.
and ultimately at the end of the day, there's going to be somebody on the outside looking in that's going to say that I deserve to be in that playoff, and I got treated unjustly. And I mean, and that's the way it's always going to be. And I really think. And I think what they did was an improvement over what's been done in college football over the last few seasons. I was not a very big fan of the BCS. But I think one of the things that they could do to make this more fair and actually generate better television revenues and probably better live gates is have these teams that are in the Super 5 conferences that's all they play is one another, okay? And then they don't get to play like teams like Appalachian State.
But some of them it's going
or,
to settle
like
itself,
having
though.
Pitt play somebody like Akron.
Alabama still got to play in a championship game. Ohio State still has to play in a championship game. TCU's gonna a lot of this stuff is
Florida
gonna
State.
sort itself out. It's gonna end up canceling itself out. So
My point is, fattening up on Division 2A teams just for a payday and to pad your record, that's what I'm against. I would like to see competitive football games. Best team wins.
I like 80-0 games, so I disagree.
I have another
like to say
theory.
that.
I'll disagree with all of you. Go
Let me
ahead,
just
Nick.
say
Let's
this
hear
real
it.
quick. My favorite team in college football lost this past weekend, something like 71-70, Marshall.
I thought you were gonna say
the
Grambling.
Thunder
Team
We can't find
backstabbed and went
Grambling
for
right
2 in overtime. So
Well,
go ahead.
That
Adam.
happens. Here's my theory. You're talking about the game shouldn't be there and play in the conference. Expand the playoff. That's all. Cut some of these games down. Have the best teams. Have the best 8 play. Whatever that would work
And I
out
heard an
to.
interesting thing
I,
coming out of West Virginia that I didn't know until I watched the 30-30
something
piece
interesting out of West Virginia.
on Randy Moss. That Randy Moss was actually from West Virginia,
Yeah.
and due to he wanted to go to Notre Dame, and he got into some kind of altercation or some kind of fight, and Notre Dame pulled out on him,
Right.
and he didn't really like West Virginia or the state of West Virginia, so he ended up going to Marshall, and that's how he went to Marshall. But I mean, if anybody remembers Randy Moss,
But Marshall is in
What?
West Virginia.
it is. But the
didn't go
state
with
of
the
West
big
Well,
Virginia.
he
Virginia.
also
What
had
the-
2 NFL quarterbacks thrown to him there as well, Chad Pennington
Yeah.
and Byron Leftwich.
Well, if you guys go back to some of my fiction and facts from Smoking Jim's Almanac, not only did I see Randy Moss play in high school, of course I seen him play basketball with White Chocolate. Randy, as a junior, averaged 40 points a game, and White Chocolate, the white guy's name, what's his name? Point guard that did all that fancy passing.
Jason Williams.
Jason Williams. They played on the same team in DuPont and great. But I tell you, who's a great friend of Randy Moss in the same hometown and everything else, a running back for the Pittsburgh Passion, friend of the show, Chic,
Chick.
Chick and Randy Moss
Sierra Chick.
is great friends. But I got one better for you, El Levine, the talking machine. I think it should go back to how it was before. The Pac-10 and the Big Ten play in a Rose Bowl. So what, at
But
the
it
end of the
can't.
year, the coaches vote for one national champ, the AP vote for the other, and you got all off season to debate it. You know what I mean? I like that. I like the traditional bowl games. Now it's going longer and longer. These kids don't got a chance to go to class. You keep adding all these playoffs.
What do you
huh?
mean they aren't going now?
they're not going now. They're taking things like general
No,
studies.
but they're
No, they're not even taking that.
They're going to spend the next 4 weeks not playing football, and then they're going to play 2 weeks worth of football and 38 games in 14 days or something.
All
like
that
that.
practice.
There's just way too many bowl games. They don't
like
mean
it.
anything, and I don't know
That
how.
just goes to show you how
But-
popular
but
football is.
Here's the thing.
Oh,
how,
no,
how
gambling.
you go like this
Yeah,
week, like
that's
all this
popular.
money, but you go to these bowls,
Popular.
and bowl games that
Gambling
Pitt goes
is-
to. I would be willing to
football.
bet you that they lose money
They
going
do.
to these
It's a-
bowls.
Yeah, they do.
Because
The
the
gambling
games,
on
the
the
games
football
they're
is a
going to,
popular
they
thing.
don't have the television revenue.
If there's no
They're
football,
not
there's no
nationally
football
televised. They're in some podunk little town where they've got 40,000 cardboard cutouts to make it look like there's somebody there watching a game.
Here's how we know they're losing. Most of the bowl games Pitt goes to are they pay the school $750,000, and that ain't even enough for Pitt to even take their band a lot of times.
That's what I'm
because
saying.
They
How do
lose
how
money
do
on those bowls.
It costs Pitt probably more money to go to one of these bowl games than they bring back in revenue.
Yeah.
And
We'll have to find out for another day.
there you go.
How about that?
Works for me.
Anybody want to talk about the Steelers before we end this show?
Well, this is what we heard last week. We've got 5 games left, and we're in control of our own destiny, and every game is
Who said
important,
that, though?
and that means something. This is from the quarterback of the football team. Every game is important. It's going to mean something. All we have to focus on is taking care of our business. Oops. Looks like somebody forgot to take care of business last Sunday. The score was 35-32. The game wasn't anywhere near that close. The Steelers got their butts kicked in their own house by the New Orleans Saints, and that's pretty bad.
Well, the one thing I was listening to coaches and players is New Orleans is better than their record. So when you hear that, all the gamblers light up, and they loaded up on that one. There's no doubt in my mind.
Well, you know,
And that's what happens.
when you've got a good quarterback, okay, and you know, and Drew Brees arguably could be said to be a future Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
But you put a quarterback like that, and if you are not matching him touchdown pass for touchdown pass, and you can't start throwing your 4 touchdown passes after he's already thrown 5, you know, look what we did with Andrew Luck. You know, we didn't stop him from scoring, but we just scored more than he did. You know.
Well, when your quarterback's hurt too, in the beginning of the game, he threw all the passes high. He got hurt, and he was really shaky. He should have taken time out, like I said.
Yeah.
Well, you know,
he
but that's
was
neither
hurt.
here nor there. But I tell you what, the Steelers do control their own destiny because winning the division could come down to beating the Bengals twice. And we've got them this Sunday at 1 in Cincinnati. We've got them here at home, last game of the season. And I think, you know, we can't afford to lose either game to Cincinnati.
How about
Steelers win. Just so there's no doubt. Steelers win.
How about
beat Cincinnati?
How about can we beat Kansas City or Atlanta? I think Atlanta's going to be our toughest.
I think,
test.
well, you know, and here's the reason why I think that. Atlanta's got a losing record. All the other teams have a winning record. We play well
We
against
lose.
teams with a winning record.
I was
The
just
teams
gonna
with the
say
losing
we're
records,
gonna whip
we know.
Atlanta, and we're gonna lose to the weaker opposition.
But I'll tell you what, I think if we go 3-1, you know, we've got a chance to make it into the playoffs. But if we
Yeah,
end
10
up
and 6
2-2,
should get it in. 10,
yeah, it
You'll be in
10
the
and 6
mix.
to get me.
with the last 4, if we go 2-2, we're going to be watching again.
Well,
this
what if
fall.
we go 1 and 3? What will we be?
1 and 3, we're just not
It's
meant
not
to be.
very great.
It's not meant to be.
We'll be 8
It's
and 8.
not meant to be.
We'll be
If we go
signing-
1 and 3,
we'll
Levine,
be
it's not
signing
meant to
Mike
be.
Tomlin to a contract
That's
extension.
true, but the bottom line
We'll
is,
be signing Mike Tomlin and Todd Haley to contract extensions.
yeah.
I'm just hoping that we get that running game going because this 58 passes, 50 passes a week.
Well, you know,
I don't know how Ben's going to survive because Haley was hired to stop it.
did anybody watch?
What's
Wait,
wrong?
Did anybody watch the New England Packers game?
Yes.
No.
Yes, I
Did
did.
you see at
It
the
was
end
a
of the
better
game
game.
when it became obvious that the Patriots didn't have a chance to win? Did you see how upset Tom Brady got?
Yeah, he screamed out
Where
that
is
fire
anybody
truck word.
on the Steelers bench showing that much passion
Good point.
for the game?
Good point.
I've said this before. It's like, okay, yeah, well, you know what? We didn't win. Well, we just had to.
I mean, let me ask you this.
No, somebody needs to take
on
some
on
personal
the
accountability.
continent Earth, there's only one Chip Hanner. There's only one Tom Brady. If every football player that stepped out on the gridiron,
You almost
Levine,
You almost swore.
that was as good as Tom Brady, then what would we have? Like, there's not all men are created equal. Some have better
Well, he
talents
actually
than others.
worked hard to get better.
But the thing is not the point of his talent. It's his passion for the game. The fact that he wants to win so badly that, you know, he almost blew a gasket because, you know, he lost his ability. He knew that if he got the ball again, if the chance to tie or win that game, he was going to do it.
Maybe he should
So
start using
that
some of
might
that
tell
passion
you is the
in the
passion.
Super Bowls. And now, ever since they aren't allowed to videotape the walkthroughs of their opponents
You're a
in the Super Bowls,
conspiracy guy.
I agree.
the
But-
Patriots
Both
have
of you.
been the
Yeah,
Patriots have been in the
but
tank.
this isn't about the
Never-
Patriots. This
never-
is about passion.
Yeah.
And this is something that I see lacking in the Steelers team offense and defense. You
And
know,
now we lost an old passionate guy, number 99.
As
best
called.
defensive lineman on the team.
And at his
No
age.
way. Cam Hayward this season
Yeah, he's
is the
played
best
well.
defensive lineman on the team.
Yeah, he has played well.
But to go back to
97.
Chip's point, I always say everybody likes to win. Give me some of those players that hate to lose, and you'll win some championships.
Yeah,
and do well.
that's what I'm saying. It's a passion. You know, I mean, you know.
But a guy like
when
Eli
I played
Manning,
sports, Zach,
a
I
guy
just
like
wanted to
Eli
win.
Manning, who is nowhere near as vocal, outspoken, or passionate as Tom Brady, has outdueled Tom Brady. So that just tells you that on any given Sunday, two guys could, you know, take 10 paces and spin around, and anybody could win. Tom Brady's been outdueled by Eli Manning
But
in
I'm
the
thinking-
history books.
And I understand that. And there are plenty of quarterbacks that on any given Sunday, the NFL, that's just the,
Big
that's
Ben
the
had a
way.
bad
That's
game.
the way the league
Big
is.
Ben
With the
had a
exception
bad
of Geno
game.
Smith, who couldn't.
Geno Smith
Yeah.
is a bust. Needless to say, Geno Smith is a bust, as predicted by Jim Frazier. We'll give you that. We'll give you that. We don't take credit away where credit is due.
It's nice to hear the sandbox not fighting over
It can
comments.
go 0 to 100 real quick.
But you know what? Rex doesn't have to worry about anything there in New York. You want to know why? Because
He has a foot fetish.
No, being that he's going to be out of a job here in 4 weeks, I think they're already talking. They're offering him between $3.5 and $5 million, any one of the networks, to have him on.
I mean, look what Mark
analyst next
Sanchez
year.
is doing
Wow.
in Philadelphia with the Eagles.
Yeah.
So that just goes to show you just how bad things have gotten in New York, where they run somebody out of town.
You're making some great points.
Yeah.
What did you do before you got? Never mind. Don't tell me.
But
Great point. True.
Finishing up on the Steelers.
But
Let's close the Steelers segment.
let's close the Steelers
Yeah.
segment.
Let's close it up.
So we're
We
going
got a
to
big
take
game.
down the Bengals this week
Have
and
Yes.
move on to the next.
That's
Have
what I
to.
say.
One game at a time.
One at a time, and we'll go there. We'll be like the players now, because I don't know if they're going to be great or 8-8. So I'm just trying
And
to
we're
figure it
going to
out.
be 10-6, and we're going to be in the mix.
I like
That's-
those sayings.
That's what we're
Penguins
sticking
score
with.
after one period 0-0.
Who's in goal?
Devin Shea. I don't know. I didn't
And,
get the update.
you know, by the way, there was some question as to whether Sid was going to play tonight. He got sent home from practice. He
And
was sick.
Bertuzzo was.
Sid's
sick.
playing tonight.
They got
Letang
this
is
throat
out.
thing that come up.
Letang is out for tonight, but I did see an update where Sid was going to be skating tonight and playing. That was like a game time decision.
Now, is that really necessary with so many games left in the season,
What?
to have this kid out there not feeling well? What if something happens, and he just takes his head off, for a
Just
couple
sweat it
Well,
out.
you want to
Sweat
know
it out.
something, Zach? A lot
They
of
sweat a lot.
times, this isn't. These top caliber players, they want to play, and unless they are completely and utterly incapacitated, they're going to play. And
But the
sit-
player doesn't have more say than the coach or the organization.
point.
The organization owns the player.
coach-
The organization tells the player, "Hey, I think that you're not feeling good today.
Not
you
in
didn't look good in
Pittsburgh.
When you name
practice."
Sid Crosby and you sit and you skate for the Pittsburgh Penguins with an owner like Mario Lemieux,
Is this a home
the coach
game tonight?
asks you, "Do you want to play tonight?" And he goes, "Yeah, you play tonight."
Late breaking
If he
news:
wants to
Kunitz
be-
is out too. Kunitz is not playing. Devin Shea. Thank you.
Wow.
Man,
in the
I don't
control
know
room.
who's softer right now, the Penguins or the Steelers defense.
I know who's softer. Geez, Jim was talking about the bad drafting strategy. I don't necessarily believe that the Steelers have such a bad drafting strategy. I would just still like to see any one of their first 3 picks from the last 2 years play. Okay? I mean, we get all these high draft picks: Jarvis Jones, Shazier, Shamarko Thomas, and I tell you what, they've seen the doctors more than they've seen the field.
Yeah. Good medical
I mean,
plan.
they're
in
not
the
paying him
CBA.
out, man. That UPMC for life.
You know?
CBA.
I mean, come on.
Healthy.
I don't even know if they can play football. To be honest with you, I don't know if Jarvis Jones is a good football player or a bad one. I know Jim doesn't like him and he thinks he's too slow. I don't know. Shamarko Thomas.
Devin Shea just Googled Steelers are softer.
All right.
Thanks, Devin.
Good man, Devin.
Somebody must have looked
Good man.
Devin up. He has great reception in the control room.
He does.
And I'm glad he's got the cameras
Chime in
working.
anytime,
and
old chap.
Definitely
So I
helping.
honestly don't think that Mike Tomlin's has bad drafting strategy. He just drafts people that like to
hurt.
collect their paychecks in a doctor's office.
And that's not helping us win football games or be a successful organization. So
But
as far
I
as
do
I'm
have a
concerned,
question to close the Steelers
It's a
out.
fail.
I'm watching Tomlin again because I
He
see
had
this.
that thing down a couple times.
Yeah, but here's what he had when we needed to make a play. Here's what he had after we didn't make the play. Who's he talking to? Because it was after the plays happened. Watch that next week.
Obviously.
Oh,
yeah. You see that in the press.
that was obvious. But now I'm getting calls from it. People are saying, "What are you doing? You're right. I got friends that are watching. The mic is up." And it was
How
down.
can it be though in the AFC we have the best wide receiver, we have the best running back,
Definitely
we
the best
have
wide
one of the
receiver.
top 5 best quarterbacks.
Yeah.
If anybody should be ashamed of themselves this season, it should be that defense. That defense right now is abysmal, and they got to get it turned around. They got to get it turned around quick.
Since we
And
can't close the
hopefully-
Steelers segment, they were too old to begin with, and who do they bring back? All older
Good
players.
point.
Because the young
That-
ones won't play.
But that's part of the problem. When you lost a step and now you come back, that ends the
That
discussion.
dog,
we're
that
doing
dog
right.
won't hunt.
But let's real quickly, Levine. Let's give a shout out on Saturday.
Gladiators of the Cage at
Not
Stage
the Pittsburgh
AE.
Gladiators, but
No,
Close
don't
enough.
even mention
Gladiators
them
of the
yet. See you
Cage.
next year with that. Everybody, thanks for watching the show. Thanks for all those likes. Hope you enjoyed it. You get to watch this. We'll put everything up on YouTube, and we also put it on our Facebook page, and you can see our show every Tuesday through Saturday night. That's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, 7 to 8. You can check it all out. When you're not going to the Gladiators of the Cage, you can watch our show early or find out what happened last night at Atria's.